John Jones, age 26, was a loving husband, father to a 1-year-old daughter, and an experienced spelunker known for his daring expeditions into uncharted caves. He had a reputation for pushing the boundaries of exploration, seeking the thrill of the unknown. On a fateful day in 2009, John embarked on what would become his final adventure. Accompanied by his brother and trusted friend Josh, John Jones ventured into a remote cave system in Utah called the Nutty Putty, known for its treacherous terrain. Equipped with ropes, headlamps, and a sense of excitement, they descended into the depths of the cave. The narrow passageways and jagged rocks posed a constant challenge, but John's passion for exploration pushed him forward. As they navigated through the labyrinthine cave, disaster struck. In a moment of misstep, John found himself wedged upside down in a narrow crevice, as he had sucked in his abdomen to fit within the small space, trapping himself upon exhaling. The crevice was a mere 10 inches wide and 10 inches high. John tried desperately to wiggle back out of the tunnel, but his efforts were no use. Panic set in as he realized the gravity of his situation, stuck 400 feet below the surface. The cave's unforgiving grip tightened around him, leaving him suspended in darkness. Utah County Sheriff Lieutenant Tom Hodgins was very aware of the dangers inside this cave. 6 years before, a 16-year-old boy found himself stuck in the Nutty Putty Caves, the same tunnel that John found himself caged inside. It took rescuers 14 hours to free the boy, who then spent 3 days in the hospital recovering from his injuries. After a second boy was trapped in the same cave and rescued, officials closed the cave in 2006 in an attempt to prevent any more near deaths. However, this closing of the cave did not stop John or his friend, a decision that would only lead to John's demise, as he found himself in the clutches of the Nutty Putty Cave. Josh, initially paralyzed with fear, quickly regained his composure and sprang into action. He knew that time was of the essence. Josh returned to the surface of the cave and called 911. For the next 27 hours, Josh, John's wife Emily, their friends, and a team of rescuers tirelessly worked to free John from his entrapment. Rescuers brought specialized equipment and expertise, but the challenges they faced were unprecedented. The narrow passage made it nearly impossible to reach John, let alone extract him safely. As the team tried to free him from the tunnel, John slipped deeper and further down, only making it more difficult to pull him out. His arms were pinned behind him and under his chest, leaving him completely at the mercy of gravity, with no way to push himself up. His breathing was restricted from by the walls of the cave, and the blood was rushing to his head. The on-site physician, Dr. Doug Murdoch, explained that John may have a mere 8 to 10 hours to life. Every minute that passed only put his life further into jeopardy. Suzu Matola was the first rescuer to actually reach John within the case, arriving at 12:30 a.m. on November 25th. She, along with 2 other rescuers, descended into the cave until they came across the 135-foot-long tunnel that encased John. At this time, John had been stuck upside down for about 3.5 hours. Susu crawled through the tunnel with ropes tied around her ankles so that her team could pull her back up through the tunnel should she become trapped like John. After 20 minutes of crawling through the unbearably hot and humid tunnel, Susie made it to John's shoes sticking up from a small hole. Susie greeted John with kindness, doing her best to comfort him through the terrifying ordeal as she tied a rope around his ankles. According to John and Josh's friends, she realized bringing John out of the cave was going to be like swimming backwards against a very strong current inside the tunnel. Susu poured water down the tunnel, hoping some would reach John's mouth, and he would be able to hydrate himself. She tried everything she could to pull him from the tunnel, pulling at the ropes tied around his ankle with the help of her team. But the team did not have the strength to pull him out, and the friction of the rope against the clay walls of the cave was too much. Still, they tried for 2 hours before giving up and looking for a new method. At 2:30 a.m., the rescuers created a pulley system connected to the tunnel walls with a set of climbing anchors. Over 100 rescuers worked with this pulley system, trying to lift John out of the tunnel. However, one of the pulleys came loose. With a very faulty system, the rescuers continued to pull. John's feet hit the low ceiling of the tunnel he was pulled up, causing his to cry out in agony. To their horror, the rescuers realized it would be almost impossible to pull him out of the tunnel at the angle he was trapped in without breaking the bones in his legs, or worse, killing him. The rescuers toyed with a plethora of new ideas. They ordered 6 gallons of cooking oil, hoping it could be used as a lubricant to loosen the cave's malicious grip on John's body. But this plan failed and did nothing to help John's increasingly lethal situation. Another idea the rescuers played around with was the use of explosives. This idea was dropped almost as soon as it was brought up, as explosives would likely kill or at least severely wound the unfortunate John Jones. To keep him from dehydrating, the team attached a tube to a pouch of Gatorade and slipped it down the tunnel so John could drink. As time went on, the rescuers utilized drills and chisels to try and free John, widening the rocky corkscrew by 6 inches to prepare for another attempt of pulling him out. On November 25th at 4 p.m., the 19th hour of John's entrapment, rescuers used a system of 15 tandem pulleys to try and lift John from the cave. Once again, John's feet hit the wall. He screamed in pain, and the team was forced to stop. One man on the team trying to save John, Ryan, stuck his hand into the tunnel to give John sign of another human, hopefully comforting him during this turbulent time. John's face was splattered with mud and his eyes were red from sobbing. The team tried once again to pull John out, but the pulley system gave in. A heavy metal carabiner fell down the tunnel, smashing Ryan's in the face. He was bleeding profusely and his tongue was split. Still, the team continued their efforts, desperate to find hope in what was obviously a hopeless situation. Exhausted and battered, John's strength began to wane. The darkness and isolation took a toll on his spirit. Despite the valiant efforts of the rescue team, they were unable to reach him in time. John Jones, the fearless adventurer, succumbed to his dire circumstances. On November 25th, at 11:56 p.m., John stopped responding, and one of the paramedics pronounced him dead. With no way to remove his body from the cave without absolutely desecrating his corpse, the rescuers decided it the most respectful and practical decision to leave him in the cave. The tunnel became his grave, where his body still resides to this day. The death of John Jones broke the hearts of his friends, brother, and wife. It served as a stark reminder of the risks involved in exploring the unknown. The tragedy prompted a renewed focus on cave safety and the importance of proper training and equipment. John's memory lives on in the hearts of those who knew him. His passion for adventure and his unwavering spirit continue to inspire others to pursue their dreams, but with caution and respect for the dangers that lie beneath the surface. What do you imagine John was thinking in his final hours? Let us know in the comments and hit the subscribe button for similar content.